Hello. As you can see, Tara is there with white comment.
Hmm.
Um, and welcome to Sunday Shift. Make sure that you like, you share, you subscribe, you tell a friend to tell a friend. We're like growing over here. It's very cute. People leave all the very sweet messages on our YouTube, on our Instagram. And it actually, every time I read a nice message, it means the world. So thank you so much for all of that. How are you, Tara? Thanks for filling in.
I'm good. I'm behind on grading, and this is
Yeah.
my big distraction from it because it's um it's in they had an in-person midterm, and so panic thoughts and crazy answers. But I mean, besides that, I'm just like trucking along.
Mm.
I thought I was gonna do my comps this quarter, but it's not looking like it's gonna work out. But I have fellowship next quarter.
What's comps?
It is the sort of like last test you have to take before you can reach candidacy in your PhD.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, you have to prove your expertise in like four areas. And so I have to do two timed exams, like written exams, and then I have
Mm-hmm.
to do an oral defense, and then I have to do a project. And so, my committee is not all together at the moment.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
And so it's looking like I'm gonna have to wait until next quarter, which is would be very, very disappointing if I didn't have a fellowship for next year.
Uh,
Um,
mm-hmm.
so I don't have to TA next year. I just get paid to be a scholar, which is great.
Ooh, we
Um,
like that.
so I was gonna talk to my committee and be like, so since I'm going on fellowship and I have a chance to get all of you in one room in fall quarter, potentially not one of them, but he can be in the room on Zoom.
Yeah, yeah.
Because my main advisor he got a fellowship. He already has a PhD, but he got a fellowship to go do work in South Africa next year, and so he's spending 6 months in Johannesburg.
Okay now.
Yeah, life of a scholar. Um, but besides that, everything's trucking along. Glad to be back. Glad to talk about GH.
Yeah, yeah. I was supposed to go to Sacramento yesterday to go see Evan and Michael Easton, but I couldn't go. Just life stuff. And being sick. I mean, I feel a little bit better today. I
Oh,
did like two face masks. I was like, I need to look dewy for this because I look pale. It's like, but I'm feeling much better. But yeah, I was sad to miss it. But we are trying to go to fan club weekend. Because I missed Kelly Monaco last year for some
maybe.
family stuff. So I'm trying to go down there. It'll be around your birthday, LA. Mm. I don't know what's gonna still be played, but I'm gonna still be playing Kendrick. So we just really gonna get it in. Um, we go down to the fan club. So let us know if you're gonna be at fan club weekend. I'm really going. I want to see Kelly Monaco. I want to see you tell Dante, Adam, aka Dante, that he shouldn't be a cop for the happy hour. So that's what I'd like to do. And then maybe I know that there's like a Tabiana and Evan event, and so I want to see the two of them. Um, so yeah, that sounds good. This week in GH was Love in the Air.
Love in
Um,
the air. Unless you're Sunny Corinthos and you're
oh,
slowly descending into madness. But
but you got that plot shield of not being on your
he was
meds.
polite enough. He was polite enough not to ruin the wedding or reception. And
That's
that was a
true.
shock to me.
That's true.
Pikeman's also polite enough not to ruin weddings or receptions. What a
That's true.
polite terrorist organization. Um,
As you do, when you're an organization like that, you're like, how do I win the masses over? And I know how to do it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I actually
Valentine.
did. I actually like I was like thinking about who Tanya would say is like performer of the week. I'm gonna go ahead and say I think it's for me, MVP, Amanda, setting as Brooklyn. And part of that is because she's such a connector. Like I'm so impressed by her. She has such good chemistry with everyone, like her family, her scene with Wally as Ned, her scene with Jane as Tracy, her and Lois, her and Olivia, like everybody just seems to really love her. And I think I think that like putting her in that like kind of middle piece or that central piece really has been done really well for the show. I wasn't a fan of the last Brooklyn, not as like anything bad. I just have never been a Brooklyn fan. So when Amanda came in, I was like, oh, she's great. I know who she is, like from Gossip Girl or whatever, and from One Life to Live. But it's just like a character in the background, and so she's gone from being like a background character to me to being somebody who's like really important, and it's really based on Amanda's portrayal. So congratulations to Amanda. You looked beautiful every step of the way. My God, she looked gorgeous. I loved her dress, which we'll get into. But yeah, she's just like, particularly because she's been such a connector and such a central part of so many good performances. I'm gonna go with her.
Yeah, I think I would go with Jane Elliott. I think
Hmm.
she's just such an unlikely matriarch of the Quartermain family. Like she spent her whole characterization, like so her whole correct character's life has been to kind of usurp the role that was naturally given to Alan, even though he didn't want it
Hmm.
whatsoever. He was like, I want to be a doctor. Um,
Right.
she's like, I'm here, I want it. And Edward was just like, no, you're not a man. I like that she's kind of stepped in and then kind of realized that she needs to be both of her parents and she has the Edward shtick down. And so, like,
Hmm.
her returning has really been more of her trying to tap into Lila.
Hmm.
And I like how they're having her do the Lila-esque things without it being like out of character for Tracy.
Right, right. It's not sugary sweet. It's like a
Yeah.
very much like which and I loved Lila, like, for who she was and the time she was. But I agree that Jane Elliott is doing some really great work when it comes to um finding that balance between not losing who her character is and then like growing or maturing, evolving into this matriarch.
Yeah, like being who her family needs her to be in the moment has sort of been her story. And I think that that has been really good, seeing her sort of reconcile with her mother's legacy and like, how do I be that for people? And managing to find a way to do it in a way that is true for her.
Hmm.
And I really, really liked that. I loved her, like, even when she went up to Gregory in the middle of the ceremony and she was like, how are you? Are you okay? Like,
Hmm.
can you breathe? Like, are you good? Like, we could just take a minute,
Hmm.
you know? And like, that was so great. And so, yeah, I think that Jane's killing it. I love that she's just here. I'm just going to hold on to her for the time that we have her.
Yeah, never leave us, Jane.
Never give that woman anything she wants, Frank. And so yeah, I've really been loving Tracy. I loved Deaconess Cerulo, aka Lois. She looked like, she was collecting alms for the church. Like she was everything. But yeah, I really, really loved the wedding, more than I thought I would. Because
Mm,
I'm usually not a big fan of the like multi-day wedding. And I'm like, all right, how long does it take to get married? But I think that the way this one shook out worked out. And I think it worked out without having to have fireworks at the ceremony or the reception.
I agree with that. You wanted to give people because Chalynn has been a couple we've been through so much with for years. And so you want to give them their moment. You want to give their fans something to hold on to. You want to give they for me have been written as like a couple that the show is a fan of. That
Mm-hmm.
like it's not about like necessarily shipping, right? Like you can ship Chillin, of course, but it's like the show ships Chillin. Like this is a couple that we are putting forward. And so I agree. I think that they were great. No duds, no duds this week. And really appreciated that. Let's get into the week and then we'll save kind of all of the wedding stuff to last. We'll go over the fashion, we'll go over like the interactions, we'll go over all of that. Um, we can start with something I didn't love as much was Willow's new job. I don't care. Not even a little bit. Her inappropriate chemistry with Drew cracks me up every time. Um, And they also have not given me a reason to believe that Drew will help Nina.
No.
So for people, so preview, Willow is obviously doing this, like the spokesperson for like a cancer org. Um, she comes in to practice with Drew. Drew keeps Nina in there. They give her these pointers, and then Willow snitches to Drew that her and Michael helped Jason.
For no
How do you
reason.
how do you feel about another Corinthos snitch?
I want her out this family. I'm over it. Like, this is such a silly way. I think that, like, if you wanted to make this work, you needed Drew to turn on the Corinthi hard over this Jason thing, but you couldn't give him, and you kind of have him doing that. He's just being so hostile to Jason for no reason. Like, bro,
It's
you were
weird.
the least affected person by his return. Like, you chose to break up with Carly. That was your choice. She did not dump you. And
Hmm.
so, like, if you really wanted him to lean into this and like make it make sense with Nina and Willow, like you had to have him turn on Carly harder, and they don't seem to want to do that. So then he's just like, well, I'm just a changed person. Just a couple of times on my office floor, and now I'm like Team Nina. And that's weird. And then Willow just, they don't write Willow and Nina with enough scenes to justify either like how quickly she's moved on or why she's still so angry. Like, I think it's good sometimes when Nina just pops up and she's like, "What are you doing here?" But like this whole turnaround, like, well, if Drew can forgive you, I guess I can too. Okay, well, he's the only one. Like, he's the only one. So why is this changing? I agree. She didn't need a job. Like, why have her quit being a nurse to like get a new job?
To be
Just
a
have her be,
spokesperson.
yeah, a spokesperson for random cancer. And is it general cancer? Because like I'm under the impression that like individual cancers have their own charities because the same research is not put towards cancer; it's put towards a specific type of cancer. And
Yeah,
so,
I think it was I think it might be leukemia. I don't know. I wasn't paying enough attention, and that's really shady because I pay attention to everything, but I just couldn't. I don't care.
like,
Uh,
unnecessary drama for Milo
yeah,
because
yeah. No, go ahead,
Michael
please.
because Michael's not going to be Team Nina ever,
No, he
especially if
shouldn't.
both, yeah, especially if now both of his parents are like, fuck her. And so, what, do it for me, Michael? No, you can get out of this house.
Well, that actually brings up something interesting for me for why they could have made the Drew thing work a little bit better. So I have said for a long time that Willow doesn't have anyone that would choose her. That she's like a part of Michael's family. And if something went down between the two of them, like who is the person who is on her side? And that is nobody. She doesn't have any individual friends. Like she had Chase for a little bit. Chase is now married to Brooklyn. Like obviously, like Sasha has like an equal relationship with both of them, maybe even more with Michael now that we've seen. Like she doesn't really have anybody who would choose her. And I think that if Nina would have played on that with Drew, like, oh, well, I'm glad she has this family, but I also want her to have somebody who is just hers. I want her to be getting close to me and to Liesel and to, whoever. That would make sense to me. But that's not what's happening. And so it's just weird. You know what I mean? Like it's just like because I think Drew could have understood that, especially if you would have bought into like, oh yeah, if I was the second place to Jason over and over again. I don't want that to happen to Willow, so let me connect her to her mom so she at least has that fallback. We don't even get that. And I just feel like those are the connections that could easily be made that don't have to be over the top, right? Because like the writer's room is the writer's room. They're gonna make the connections they make. They're gonna tell the story that they tell. But there are ways to tell stories that are just like a couple lines that would make them more compelling and make them connect better to me.
Yeah, like just saying, like with the Corinthos family, you never really know if you're in, but when you're out, you're fucking out.
Yeah.
And I don't want that for Willow. I will say you might get your wish given the way that these writers write. They'll just hear it and they'll just add it into the rotation. They can film it in weeks, like, and now it's as it's always been that story. It's always been that way. I hate that.
Yeah. I mean, and I actually never like to talk about social media, Twitter specifically on the show, but I do want to talk about when we get to hot takes about the writer's shakeup, and I do have some like things to bring in about that, about social media, but I would love if Liz now listened to me, but I don't think she like I'm like I never have I wish I had a place and I wish there was like a place to give feedback that didn't feel toxic, because there is no like non-toxic place to give feedback. Um, and now, so like you said, they're just like adding stuff in, like this is what it always was. It's like, no, that's not what it was. You made that up. Like
Hmm.
Candy, you just made that up.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
anyway, so we had Michael, Sasha, and Sodi. Finally, we had a conversation between Michael and Sasha about like, her working at the house and what that means. And then Michael very strangely told Cody like, better be good to her.
I love that they had Michael be like, "Girl, I negotiated that entry. You should have let me negotiate the exit. I would have got you some money, honey. At least
Yes.
play that with me." Like,
And that's real. And that's real. Why Sasha gotta be broke? I would have loved for her to have like had a little money in her bank account, and then even if she wanted to come work for the quarter, whatever. But let her do that not in a way that feels like she's poor, but in a way that I think that would have made the story make a little bit more sense. It's not like it's like this. She's doing this for because she loves it, not because she needs the money.
yeah, because they got her in this reverse Cinderella story, and like the main reason I like wrestle between making it the Quartermain background or like comment, but like I'm pretty sure that Sodi are about to do it in front of a horse. So we have comment. And that's her life now. And like it's been her life for a while. Like they've given her this weird, she was dating this like CEO of Fortune 500 company, and then all of a sudden she's like a crackhead, and she's dating some guy who owns a garage. And she's getting married at a gas station, and then he's getting hooked in a dark alley in the bad side of town. And now she's just like a cook in her former boyfriend's mansion, and she's dating the nice stable boy, and he lives in a horse with a house, like a house with a horse in it, like a fairy tale, like a reverse, like a fucked up German fairy tale. And so I don't like it. Give me Misha back. I'm sorry, Tim.
from from riches to rags, the Sasha Gilmore story.
Yeah.
Um, and back again, you know what I mean? Because she's cyclical with the riches to rags. So I will say I think that it's really interesting that like Michael um I, this is like the first time because we never even addressed or talked about them being a former couple when she was with his cousin.
No.
Like Brando was Michael's cousin.
No.
Like, so we never even talked about that connection. And I agree. I liked Misha better. I can't apologize for that. I just I've never seen it from Milo. I get what Milo's point is and what their place is. But I think that I liked who Michael was as a character when he was with Sasha.
Hmm.
And so it's not just about like the pairing, it's about like liking who he was as a character. And I am not interested in like this domesticity that we have to see from Michael when I enjoyed him being a playboy. It'd be different if we had like another Quartermain playboy, if like a Dylan or somebody was around. Dylan is my op, but whatever. Was around and we had that. But I liked that he was essentially Jax in a lot of ways. When he was with Sasha. And now he's like they gotta pretend that the kids are downstairs where they like having sex. Like I'm not interested.
I mean, I think that the whole like you better be good to her would have made more sense coming out of Sunny.
Mm,
Because Sunny like adopted her after Brando freaking died. He was like, "Well, you're mine now," and then like he's off his meds, unhinged, so it would come across as unhinged. And then
mhm.
Cody is supposedly Dante's best friend, though they never see each other, which is probably better for Sante fans, I'm sure. And then he can go to Dante and be like, "Your dad just like." threaten me. Am I good? And then that could be more of Dante being like, "What's happening with my dad? Like, why is he
Yeah.
going around people?" Um,
I just
and then you could,
also, you said
oh, I
what?
was gonna, you could have had Sasha be like, "Don't threaten him," and then there's another person turning on Sunny, and he's like, "Everybody's against me," you know. They just
um,
have to do the right things.
oh, Sunny, a mess. I also thought it was weird that they weren't at the wedding. I didn't like the whole like we're gonna have the cook is gonna make the after order that shit from Metro Court. What are we talking about? I don't know if maybe it was because they like had a cap on how many people could be at the wedding or something. But Cody and Sasha not being there was glaring and didn't make any sense. It particularly looked messed up because like you were really treating them like the help.
He was giving
When
upstairs, downstairs people.
yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. Particularly because of the way Sasha's coming to the house. Her and Brooklyn are friends. I know that she said like, "Oh, I wish I could come," but that was silly. That she had to like what cook for the after party. Cater that. What are you talking about?
They were at the Metro Court. Like they were at the Metro Court for the reception in like the area that the pool is usually in, but there was no pool, which I thought was hilarious.
It was really silly. Oh, was that where they were?
Yeah,
I thought where they were was that area. The scene I'm particularly thinking about is when TJ and Nina got into it, when Nina accused TJ of having an affair, and they were all sitting at the table, and then also Michael and Sonny had an interaction there once, like that kind of outside bar area. That's where I thought they were.
I
But
feel like
I only know this part of the Metro Court. That's my background. So
that area is very small. It's like off of the restaurant
no, I think it was outside. It's out. Oh yeah, maybe it is. You're right. I don't
because
know.
that's I think of that area as the area where Sam got shot. That's the run to me area. We can't have receptions there. It's got bad juju.
Why would you say that
But
to me? That's hurtful.
I mean, it's just very funny to me. I mean, it's probably the same space, like regardless, like the outdoor Metro Court space, but like it just gave like that's where the pool goes. They just haven't brought it up yet.
It's covered to
Um,
pull up.
but I mean, there was a lot of glaring people missing from that wedding.
Who else? Tell me.
They had Danny risk his life going to the coffee house
The coffee shop where Michael got shot in the head.
to ask Jason to go on behalf of Monica, and then he wasn't there. And none of the Quartermain kids were there. Only Leo, which made sense. He was adorable,
So cute
but
every time.
Leo Falconeri, let me know, writers, because I remember that when Eddie Main was Eddie Main, they were calling Leo Falconeri, even though we had a whole storyline about him becoming Leo Quartermain. But whatever. Um, there was no Scout, no Jake, no Danny. None of the actual. Were they all just chilling with Monica and helping her get over her pneumonia, her spring seasonal pneumonia?
That she's had for
Um,
months.
but she's not in the hospital, and she's gonna be fine by summer.
I really truly cannot believe they brought Monica back for Finn. I, let's move on. I can't. Um, let's talk about all things Pikeman. Carly and Anna scene. I loved it so much. Fanola and Laura looked like they had a ball together. Like it's just I was like, oh, I forgot I actually need more Carly and Anna together. It was really funny. The whole like, where do you keep your zip ties?
Keep your
Like,
zip ties, girls, your pocket or your purse.
I was like, this is unhinged, and I love it. Like,
I love, and I maintain. I said this in Brit spaces that Carly's the only one doing something. Everybody else, Jason is counting coffee beans. Anna's trying to find an apartment, going on dates with Valentine. She's the only person actually investigating Pikeman.
pause. Why is Jason always counting coffee beans?
That
What
part,
is happening there? Like, what?
like,
Why is
because
this happening?
Sonny hasn't counted them in 2 years. He hasn't counted them not once since Jason was gone, and they don't know what they have, what they don't have. Like,
Is he the only employee? I never see the bags moving. What happens? What is going on here?
also, side note, why is it okay for Jason to work at this coffee warehouse when this is how Sonny launders his money? And the FBI is aware of this. Like, he's not in the business except he's laundering the money. He's now personally laundering Sonny's money.
It's like literally, I imagine Jason laundering money, like bringing it in, washing it, like what's happening here?
It's kind
Just,
of ridiculous.
just with the clipboard, like okay, beans, cough, like what is anyway?
Yeah.
Yes, I I loved Carly defending Brennan. She's like, how, like, it was just gonna be light kidnapping. What do you mean?
He asked me about my daughter, girl. When's the last time you asked me about my daughter?
Carly said, men kidnap me and fall in love all the time. See, Lorenzo.
She Carly was me because Anna's like, you're impeding investigation. And she's like, that's your problem. That's not my problem. I don't fucking care. Like, you work it out.
But I
Like,
still can't believe Carly went to that man and was like, so you know the FBI, like, what are you doing, Carly? Because what are you about? Like, what is your follow-up? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm about. Sure, go be reckless. I'm fine with the recklessness. What was you gonna do after that? Are you working alone? Can you please call like Sam and Spinelli? Like, what are you about to do with the information that you gather?
Carly's like, if I rule the world, I free all our sons.
I free all Jasons. Like
Mhm.
she's wild, and I loved every minute of it. You also brought up the Vanna date, which I know I if nobody's gonna love it, I'm gonna love it. It's so messy. Felicia was like, "Girl, do you like him?"
Valentine is trash.
Valentina said, "Listen, I know you shot my daughter, but she gone now. You want to move in or what we doing?"
God.
Like I just it was a
That's
mess.
this is the gaslighting that I'm talking about though. Cause like they really out here trying to pretend like we didn't watch Valentine try to better himself to be with Anna. It turns out he's
Yes.
just been lying to her the whole time. Like he David Hayward. Here we go. The David Haywarding begin.
Okay, but you know I loved Anna.
Anna is like too mature to be dealing with some David Hayward esque nonsense. Like, girl, you a grandmother. You cannot be, even though you don't look like one.
At all.
Like, just because you look 35 doesn't mean that you could be out here in 35-year-old David Hayward shenanigans. Like, nah, queen.
Like Dex looked like her date. I was like, what's going on here? It was like Anna got a little PYT.
I swear.
I I am toxic. And so I loved David and Anna. And I love Valentine and Anna, and I make no apologies for it. I do not like wherever this is going, but I'm gonna follow it because I love seeing these two actors play together. And I want to see her slap him again. You remember when she slapped him and she like jumped into it? Like
I made a whole video of it. And
just
she slapped the stutter back into him.
I want to see it again. I wanted to slap him again. I want him to look like, damn, I kind of enjoyed that. Like, because he's unhinged. I'm here for it.
I
I'm gonna watch it.
this I want to like it because I did like Anna and David. I cannot because they're both ops of the Corinthi, so I need
Mm,
them both to fail
yeah.
miserably. I need shame. I need people thinking about their life and their investigatory skills. While they date people who would act such a way, who would do such thing. I don't care how many fake purses Sonny sells. He doesn't deserve to have his medicine messed with by this garbage man, this Euro trash fucking man, this inbred history. I don't want to hear about it.
Well, let's talk about it because obviously Ava goes and like runs up on the pharmacist. And I said this last week. I was like, and I sometimes feel like I'm like, am I going crazy? Because I'm like, I think things are very clear. People are like, no, 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 and like trying to argue with me. And I'm like, no, it felt like that was the pharmacist and he knew what was going on. So I don't understand. And so this week we have the pharmacist calling Valentine to be like, Sonny's wife came, or Mr. Corinthos' wife came in. So I did love Valentine being like, which blonde? There's so many of them. Um,
I did think that, like, I wasn't paying too much attention to that. So, like, I was only going off of the dialogue. And the
mm,
dialogue, he was making it seem like he wasn't Sonny's pharmacist.
hmm
But I mean, I guess, like, if I was paying attention and saw how fishy he was being, then I'd be like, oh, well, maybe.
yeah, yeah, that was a part of it. You're right. The dialogue was like whatever, but I like because I rewound it. I was like, what's happening here? So yeah, I knew that I felt so vindicated. I was like, yes. Is Valentine about trying to kill Ava again? Because I feel like we always skip over the fact that Valentine threw Ava off a parapet. Like I just feel like nobody talks about it. It's like it happened. It was cool. It was a little icy, no problem. Bro tossed
They
her.
they talk about it or they justify it. They're like, he had to toss her, and I'm like, all right, sure.
No. He like picked her up and tossed her. Like it was not like a push. You know how
Yeah,
like you gently push somebody with two fingers? No, no, no. He tossed her ass over the parapet.
and he didn't even do it for like Anna or anything like that. He did it for shitty ass Nina Reeves. Like, we don't need to justify this.
Mm-mm.
She's awful.
So I have to wonder, is he gonna try to I mean no more parapets. He's gonna try to like push her in the harbor or something?
Oh, I hope Sonny Corinthos get to beat his ass in the Metro Court lobby too. Like, where is Sonny gonna whoop Valentine's ass? He whooped Cyrus's ass in the church. He whooped Dex's ass in the Metro Court hall lobby, as he should have. So where is Valentine getting his ass whooped? The docks? The coffee warehouse? Where the Jason Morgan Memorial Interrogation Room? Let's put money on it. Where is Sonny gonna get to put hands on
Damn. Where
Valentine?
is he? The gallery?
It could be the gallery. I mean, Anna, I'm not sure if Anna gets to put hands on him before or after. I have to let you know as the story progresses.
As we see things move along, we'll find. But people putting hands on him.
Mm-hmm.
Carly
Because
might put hands on him
Laura,
because he sure
she
is using Charlotte. He's like, "Do you want to see this picture of Charlotte? Show me a letter. What's up with you?" Like he's so shifty, and I love it. Um. Also, Jason and Anna decide to keep everything a secret from Jagger because they don't trust him, which I think is interesting. Wonder what that's about.
why we trust Jason, it still don't make any sense. Jason is the real head of the Corinthos crime organization. I've been saying this for years, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
St. Jesus.
Yeah. And Brennan stabs himself and makes it look like a setup. He's going
I
to the
knew it.
hospital. You,
Vindication.
I didn't know that was gonna happen. I was like, what's going on?
When he said, because it was literally in the moment we were watching it in Discord, and he did it, and I was like, oh, so that's the he's losing a lot of blood, and people were like, no, someone's supposed to get shot, and I was like, are they? I did not hear a gunshot wound, but once again, I don't be paying attention to the promos. And then no, that's what it was. He just himself, he judo chopped that man, and then stabbed himself with a shiv, which smart.
As you do.
As you do. Didn't Cyrus like fake a heart attack or something like that? Or I don't know. He got out too. And then everyone's like, oh, he's a weak old man. He's too weak to run a mob organization.
I don't think he faked the heart attack though.
Oh yeah, it was real, but then something about him's fake. I'm sick of it.
Something
Stop it.
about him is fake.
This whole redemption, and we using Cyrus. Like, the main reason they haven't arrested Sonny is because no jury in the land would convict him based off of the word of Cyrus Renault. The fuck?
Yeah. Um, yeah.
Cyrus and Dex sound like terrible witnesses.
Leave Dex alone. Oh, Dexter. I don't know if that's his name, but I always call him Dexter. I don't know. Um, Nina and Ava truce. The thing that stuck out to me is her being like, or Nina being like, there's an African artist. I was like, we're in Africa, y'all. We just GH is so disrespectful. They like Lucky's in Africa City, Africa Town. Now he bringing his artist from just Africa.
55 countries on the African continent. There's 55 that you could have chose, and you couldn't choose one.
No,
Like the audience wouldn't understand if you said a Nigerian artist. They just wouldn't understand if you were like, "Oh, this artist from Uganda or from Angola or
it's a
something like that." They
Tanzanian
don't,
artist. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, nothing. Mm-mm.
because you would never say European artist.
No,
Like
no.
never. You wouldn't say Asian artist. You would be like, "Where in the fucking Asia? What are you talking about?" Like,
No, they might say Asian, but not as much.
no, I mean, I feel like they might say Asian American artists, but even then, they would still like if it's one of the big three that people know, they would get specific. Like they'd be like a
True.
Korean artist, a Japanese artist.
Yeah.
But like, there's big countries in Africa that like everyone has heard of, even if they can't list them on a map. Like if they can't point to the actual country on the African continent, like you most likely heard of Egypt. They probably think Egypt is in Europe. Let me take that back. Let me take
Yeah. I
that
was like,
back.
no, 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 no,
They
no.
claim that for themselves. I have a student that's writing a paper about that in regards to Greece. Um, how it's a very interesting paper. So she was one of my students. I'm teaching modern world history, and she first came at like, I want to learn about Alexander the Great. I was like, you cannot learn about that because that is not the class we're in. Why don't you learn about modern Greece? So she ended up writing her paper about the Greek Civil War and essentially how in the 40s Greece was looking at itself not as a European country but as a colonized country that was being colonized by Britain, and you had this massive like communist moment where they want to like throw out the royal family because like their king is literally a grandson of Queen Victoria. He's Greek but he's her grandson, and they like want to
Okay.
throw them out. They don't win, but she's arguing that like the way that outsiders sort of like colonize or like, categorize European countries is not necessarily how they see themselves, especially in Eastern Europe. That like they view themselves as vassals to the West in the same ways that peoples from Asia and Africa and the Americas do. And that they're a part of this decolonization moment. So I thought it was very cute. But yes, that's
How does that connect to Egypt? You took me on a ride.
because Egypt is the exact same way. That like the
Oh,
West wants Egypt's history and their culture, but not Egyptian people. And that's what's happening in Greece, that they want Greek history, they want the gods, and they want ancient Greece, and they want
gotcha.
philosophy, but they don't want Greek people.
That was a ride, and now I understand. I was like,
I
what?
apologize, everyone that is now listening to me speak about random
What?
history. That was my long way of that. Egypt is not a good example of that. We could have said South
My
Africa.
my face was like, what are you talking? Now I made the connection. I get it now. But I did okay. I'm better now. I got it. The connection was made.
Yes,
The
South
connection was
Africa.
made.
You could have said South Africa. GH. They're South
Anywhere.
Africa. They're from Wakanda. They're from anywhere.
ABC does own Disney, so they could have been from Wakanda. This is
They
true.
could have.
This is actually really true. They could have been from Wakanda. Um, yeah, but Ava and Nina, we are circling back around, are now working. They are like now working with each other professionally, but hate each other personally. I did not like how many jabs that Nina got in on Ava. I wasn't a fan of that. But I did appreciate Ava calling out like the ways in which Nina was delusional about Sunny. Because I think that because they kept trying to write Sona as this love story, they never talked about like the delusional nature of the relationship that they had. And so
Yeah.
now we're kind of spinning the block on that.
Nina was just a very interesting character for Sunny. And I don't think it was like impossible to make that work. I think the way they did it was really stupid. I
Agreed.
think that like they didn't really understand the trope of being Sunny's woman and that there's only one of two ways of being. You are the mob ball, aka Carly, or you are the angel that he wishes to attain, that's outside the mob, aka Brenda. And Nina didn't
Right.
really fit it either. She somehow fit into both roles, which could have made her his perfect match, but like they did it in the worst ways. So like she almost had the worst of Brenda and Carly instead of the best of them. And I think the best of them would have been like a character that actually makes him a better person. And like if you saw him being better and nicer, I'm not trying to take that away from you. For me, the way I saw it is that like sure he's nicer to her, I guess, but he's still like
Right.
putting decks on a meat hook and like mobbing and doing all this stuff that shit, and she doesn't know any of it. Like she's on the outside, look like an idiot, talking about how much healed and better Sunny is, while he's
Right.
actually 10 times worse than he ever was with any other woman. And then like she's just as conniving as Carly.
Right.
And so instead of like the way to make her
But she doesn't
perfect,
own it.
yeah, the way to make her perfect would be to make her like accept him as a mobster so he doesn't have to lie to her. But then she somehow like gets him to lean into his better angels and gets him to think. But instead they did the exact opposite. They said like, well, she can't handle the mob and she's a conniving ass bitch. That's like the worst type of fucking woman for him.
Hmm. I mean, I think it also is like, the reality of it is people like Carson. I don't even particularly like Carson, but like that is a staple couple for the show. They were like the kind of elder statesmen of couples of the show. And then you broke them up for like in a way that didn't make sense to put him with somebody who didn't make sense. And there was so much backlash because the story wasn't told well. I mean, we've talked about it so many times and like Steve being gone and all of that. But I honestly don't even think that like if they would have tried to tell Sona and Charlie, that would have been a good story. I don't think enough people are fans of either of those couples, and it would have just been like this is nonsense when you should have Carson together. So whatever. I like again, I'm not even a fan of Carson. I like Carly and Brennan, to be honest. I liked Crew. I didn't like what they did to Drew. I think if Drew would have been able to be more like smooth, playboy, fun, if he would have been able to be more Ryan Lavery, to be honest, I would have liked him and Carly more. Um, but people want Carson together, and it really does feel like the show is leaning into putting back some of the pieces back together.
I mean, as a Carson fan at this moment in time, I don't know how, like, it would have to once again be Sunny pursuing Carly. It couldn't be her being like, well, now that I know all these things happen, because, like, he still did all the shit he did.
Right, right, right,
And he would still have to, like, apologize for all that. And then, like, you also owe Jason a bunch of apologies because, like, and that's the thing about like I'm not gonna say that Chris and Dan like gaslit in a way where they were like I flat out refuse to acknowledge how this story is played out.
right,
Like I'm going to write it as if like, well, this is what Sunny believes, and so this is what happened, as opposed to like, well, you're choosing to believe this because it negates everything that you did.
right,
This became the most like why were my best friend and my wife getting married? Well, because your current wife made everyone think you were dead and the other mob families were going to kill them.
right,
So or they this is actually what happened is that because Carly showed up to that meeting when Jason got came back from like his little abroad moment with Britt and tried to take over, they were like, well, the two of you need to kill each other. There can't be two. And so, like, if you want us to believe that you're in charge, then kill Carly, and vice versa. And so
right,
they married each other so they wouldn't have to kill each other.
right.
And so this whole like, they fell in love, and of course you had Chris and Dan do that forced, they're falling in love, which didn't make any sense. And it's not even that it didn't. I guess like for Carly, like maybe I can see her falling back into it. Made zero sense for Jason.
None. None.
Zero. You weren't even like, you have all these other options, and then you were in a relationship with Britt. Like you were with her,
Yeah.
and you were out here trying to heal her and her villainry. Talk about how you don't care that she steals babies and does all this stuff because you weren't fucking physically here for that. So you don't care.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit about Nicholas? Which I agree. Um,
Okay. All right.
you know how I feel about the Cassadines.
I do. I'm gonna that's not how I feel, but I get it. Um, so Heather Weber, we get Jordan coming to tell Trina and Stella that there somebody's like looking into her case and maybe letting her out. You had Trina feeling betrayed because it was Spencer's grandmother, aka Laura, helping. I thought it was really bizarre that they had Jordan kind of capping for Laura to be like, well, I think it was brave. No, it wasn't. No, it
And
wasn't.
they also have Stella being like, I have heard about like how bad hips can turn you into a serial killer. Maybe we should think about this. No, girl, we shouldn't. What are you talking about?
It also, for me, I think makes it hard. Well, let me back up and say that I really like Stella and Trina as scene partners. I like their relationship. I think that Stella brings the best. Like she just Vernie is such a good scene partner. I think she brings like the best out of people. So I do like them and I like the relationship they're building with them. Um, with Heather, I can't see it being what it is because there was so much planning involved. It wasn't like spontaneous, like I had an outburst. It was like you're telling me that she was sitting there and she was in so much pain. She was planning jailbreaks, and didn't she jump out the window after killing
Yeah,
Rory? Like, it was just, what are y'all talking about? What are
she
we
like
talking?
she
No.
swam miles and miles after hooking Ava for her back because that was at the Quartermains off the lake house. And so she ran off in the dead of night in the rain after hooking Brando. And she overpowered Brando
Overpowered Brando with her hip.
with her hip. And so, you know,
It also is like, look, I watched the cobalt poisoning storyline on Grey's, and Richard, like, part of the problem was that he wasn't in a lot of pain. It was just that it was seeping toxins into his blood. So now all
yeah.
of a sudden it was happening because Heather was in pain.
Yeah, he was seeing Catherine when she wasn't there, and she was telling him how
Right.
great napkin plan was. And so it's just, and then it's such a terrible storyline. Like I think like what they did with Cyrus is really good. You had Cyrus do what he did. He gave his little statement. He disappeared. You don't have very many people capping for him, and they're not really focusing on like everything he's done as a character. They're focusing on the one moment where Sonny did something to him. And whether or not that was okay. But to have her capping for Heather while refusing to take Sonny Corinthos' art is actually insane. Like, what do we First of all, let's get okay. 20 years, fine. She's negated for the last 20 some years. Okay, whatever she did in the
Didn't she
last
jump
20.
off a building with Sam's baby? Or almost with Sam's? Okay.
She tried to throw Danny off of a roof, but cobalt poisoning. How do we explain her like selling her babies when she was in the 70s? How do we excuse her selling her cousin's babies? She just
How we excuse her
stole.
banging Ryan?
Yeah, like but she was banging Scott. She was banging all these people. She was like kidnapping babies, selling them, re-kidnapping them. So theft, essentially. She wanted money
Not
and babies.
theft.
And like But she was a
Not
cobalt post.
theft, not kidnapping, theft, baby
She like
theft.
she sold Steven Weber and then kidnapped him. So she got the money and the baby.
Mm,
I'm not sure which one she stole. Did she steal
true.
the money or did she steal the baby? Like
Damn, a conundrum.
she sold Jason and Drew successfully.
Oh
And
yeah, that's
then
right.
like she
Damn,
was
I
like
forgot about
saying,
that.
yeah, she was saying like, do you think I would have been a good mother if it wasn't for this hip? Like, didn't you sell Franco to somebody who sexually abused him? And then you had to throw Drew in a basement to save him from the SA? What are we saying? Like,
Just so bad. I
she tried to marry
also
Word.
oh yeah. I that the history of Heather Weber is nuts.
Who else are we gonna give a fucking bad hip to? Helena? Does Manny Ruiz have a bad hip? Like, maybe it was Faith Roscoe's hip.
Well, that's the thing, like with Alexis, like kind of defending her. I'm like, well, Alexis has a history of defending people who've hurt Sam. So
That
Manny
part.
Manny Ruiz, Heather Weber, why not?
Just always, everyone needs a defense except for the people who do bad by me. I just murder them.
With my car. Um, I also thought, and I'm gonna just always harp on this. I thought it was interesting that they didn't have Trina bring on Rory again. It is a constant, and I will always talk about how they're erasing her history. They're erasing Taggart. They don't even have her talking about him. It's not even like, you haven't seen him. It's that she doesn't even bring him up. She didn't even say, "Oh, I just saw my dad." She doesn't even talk about him. And then you're erasing a boyfriend from her. And most characters, especially long-term characters, do not just have one pairing. They might have a signature pairing. They might have the pairing that you like, and that's cool. They should. But like I think about myself as a Sam fan, I've liked all of Sam's pairings. I didn't really care for the one when she was with Michael Easton.
I don't like any Michael Easton Sam Herring, but I know you're talking about Silas, right?
Silas. I didn't like her and Silas, mostly because of the Nina of it all. But I've loved every for different reasons. I've loved every one of Sam's pairings. Sam Trick, give it to me. Lou Sam, absolutely. Just iconic scene after iconic scenes of her pairings. And so when you have a character like Trina who you want to be long term, who you want to be a staple character, like of course you would want her to have multiple pairings even if you have your fave. So to like erase Rory as if that wasn't a big part of getting her with Spencer. You know what I mean? Like if you're looking at Emily, you're not gonna erase um oh boy before she got with Nicholas. Like you're just not Cam's dad.
But they did Xander.
You're not gonna erase oh boy before she got with Nicholas because he's a part of getting her with Nicholas. You don't have to always talk about him. He doesn't have to always come up in conversations, but when it's relevant, Heather Weber, you're talking about what she did to you. One of the things she did to you was kill your boyfriend.
They just don't want to have to like talk about how she was gonna break up with him right before he got hooked, and then she
And she took
brought,
Spencer to his funeral.
yeah, their new boyfriend to his funeral
I
that his
loved it. I thought
fam
it was iconic, to be
that
honest.
his family wasn't invited to, which
I
was
personally thought it was iconic, honestly. But like it's easy to say, yeah, and even have her say in the moment, I didn't love him, but he was good to me. Like let's not forget that she's had a life outside of this. This is why we don't see her. This is why like that they are only tying her to one relationship. She deserves like the gamut. Anyway, I will always talk about that because this will always annoy me.
I mean, it bugs me though their use of history in general, like how they have like TJ harping on like Sonny being like in the same vicinity of Curtis when he got shot, but then like you're not harping on the fact that like Laura caps for Cyrus, who like kidnapped
Kidnapped
you,
you.
kidnapped Portia and Trina, shot Curtis, had your mom as a dirty cop, tortured every black character on the show, essentially. He's changed. He found God. Um,
I hope it was Black Jesus.
and then Heather feels so bad. She just feels so bad. Like I talked to her, Trina, and she feels so bad about what she did. She's in jail. Like she should feel bad. What do you mean? She murdered people. Like her feeling bad. There's plenty of people on the inside who feel really bad about the things they did. That's not a metric for re-examining their case. Feeling bad. Like it's just so silly. And there has to be some like, I mean, even in the law, I'm sure there is like room for these types of things. Like, well, they're essentially doing what they did with Franco. They're like, well, he had a brain tumor, so like the brain tumor was killing people, not him. And I'm like, explain to me how a brain tumor stabs someone to death.
This is why I loved Billy Miller. I loved his chemistry with Sam. Um, but this is ultimately why I reverted to my J Sam ways because Jason never stopped having heat for Franco ever. The first time he saw him, he whooped his ass. Like, why is he here?
It literally
Franco got a
wasn't.
weird case. Why is he around?
Yeah, it wasn't until like the last week of Franco's life that Jason was like, "Yeah, I guess you can live peacefully in this town." Like, and then
Maybe.
then Peter took him out. That was the best Franco's ever been. Like one of the highlights of Franco's time on this show is him bitch slapping Peter August. He was like, "I don't know
Yeah.
what you're talking about."
Yeah, I just anyway, no Franco, no Heather. I'm not interested in it, but here we are. And then the last story before we get into all things wedding, Drew Jordan in politics. First of all, Jordan looks amazing. She looks so good. It's wild. And so this congressperson has come to Drew and is like, you should run in my place. You should make your last name Quartermain and blah blah blah. But this happens right after we have this scene of Jordan breaking it down about how she can make the town better. I I don't know if this is a misdirect. Jordan should be in whatever position. That's it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I don't know why they picked Drew. Drew just got out of prison for financial crimes against the federal government. Why would he be running for the House of Representatives? Like
Why not?
they they deal with financial shit in the country.
Sounds
They
about
control
white.
the purse. Crazy.
Sounds about white. So excuse me, white man. I know you just got out of prison. You trying to you trying to run for Congress?
He got out. He just got out of prison for insider trading. That's like the
Put him on the
number.
finance committee.
Isn't that what like Menendez is going down for? Like having like coats full of like gold bars and shit from Egypt.
Speaking of Egypt, it comes full circle.
They came full circle. Like that's such a funny thing to see FBI like going through your coat closet and there's just like coats lined with like $100 bills. You're like, but yeah,
You don't have coats with $100 bills. It's not my fault.
I mean, I don't understand what they're doing with Jordan. Like the whole Drew and Jordan thing, how they could think that I want to see Drew romance Jordan after he still has like Nina's sweat scent on his freaking dick is ridiculous to me. That is insane. If you want to
Why would you say that?
put him with Nina. I apologize to Sunday Shift fans. I'm just that type of person. I'm edgy. Um,
No, it just disgusted me. It's fine. That you said it. I just got disgusted thinking about it.
so mad about it because I remember I was never like super keen on Drew and Jordan, but I was like, it'd be nice to see someone just like, of the main cast, not like a random outsider, not somebody's cousin or brother who we're never going to see again, but like someone from the main cast. Be like,
Hmm.
I'm feeling this because I have eyes and I'm a
Right.
human straight man. And like, obviously, I want to be with this woman. But no, they have to have her be like the little angel. Like, she's who I should want. Nina's who I do want. Absolutely not. I don't want that. No, no,
Don't want to see it.
no. And I don't want to see it again with Nina Reeves. It was less offensive with Carly because you're like, okay, you're trying to tell this horribly done story with like Carson versus someone who's not Carly, though she's the exact replica of Carly, so she can't handle the mob. But now you're doing it with Jordan. You should want Jordan, but you don't, then don't be with her. Go, don't talk to her, don't be near her,
In the
don't be
words of
around her.
Fantasia, if you don't want me, then don't talk to me.
That
But even if
part.
you do want her, don't talk to her.
Don't talk to her. I kind of want Curtis to be unnecessarily like, Curtis, tell him not to talk to her. Figure out he's banging Nina and decide that your ex-wife is too good for those shenanigans. And tell her not to talk to her because your besties, Curtis, and it's Curtis Ashford again. It's Curtis Ashford ruining Jordan Ashford's life again because now Curtis Ashford's two best friends, three best friends, and we include Laura and her Heather bullshit, just ruining Jordan Ashford's day.
You're not wrong.
Hashtag free Jordan Ashford. And I
Hashtag what's
never,
her maiden name?
what's her maiden name? I've been saying this for years. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Maybe if
And
she
that
runs for office, we'll find out. Then we'll find out her maiden name is Ward.
those are the little things about like when it comes to black people on shows that like really, really bugs me. It's like the flattening of their characters. It's the sort of like westernizing of them in a certain respect. It's that because that was my thing with like now I don't watch this show, but every time I like see character names from Bridgerton, I'm like,
Oh,
why do none of these black people who clearly come straight off the boat from fucking some African tribe, like not have an African name? Why are they all like, my name is George Anderson?
on Bridgerton?
Yeah, I just see like the characters' names, and they always tend to have like regular ass white people names.
Huh. I have to look back at it. I don't know because I know they made for particularly for the Indian character, they made sure to have
Not her Indian, I saying black characters.
no. I'm just saying, and I think yeah, I have to think about it. I have to look again. Anyway,
It's just this
I don't want to get into my Bridgerton bag because I can talk forever.
yeah, but it's this idea that we don't need to know much. We have like the least amount of information on the Ashford family than we have in any other family in this town, except for
Hmm.
maybe Dex, but that doesn't count because he's only been on the show for like 2 years.
Hmm.
So there's plenty of time to make shit up or flesh shit out for him. Jordan's been on this show for since the what 2010s.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
she's been on forever, and she doesn't have a mom, a dad, siblings, like nothing. She doesn't have anything. They gave like every other freaking long lost parent on the show. There's like a background. There's like cutaway episodes. We're figuring out what the hell they were doing. Hat Daddy was like, someone told me I had schizophrenia and I moved to Brazil. That's what happened. I found out I don't have schizophrenia, and Kevin said it gets better, and now we've moved on and he's disappeared.
I would say that, that to be like 100% honest, this is why, and I celebrate Trina because I think that like she's a young black girl, particularly with Tabiana, like a dark-skinned black girl, like who I don't want to focus on any of like the negativity thrown her way. I want to like uplift like who she is. But that is like really from a protective angle. I don't relate to Trina because like she's a child to me. And so when I think about like building up the black characters, it's not just Trina. And I think that that's for me why I get stuck in the like Trina versus Jocelyn dichotomy. And I'm always like, what are we talking about? Because what is the dichotomy for Jordan? What is that dichotomy for Portia? I mean, even going into like thinking about the wedding, they both were like, why are we here with these white people? Why are we here?
That was my favorite.
Like it was hilarious, but it was like And that's why I always say we can't just fight for Trina to have better story and then like leave the other black folks on the table. Like the way you tell good story, in the same way that I said my performer of the week was Brooklyn. It's not just Brooklyn that makes her a good character. It's her relationship to Tracy. It's her relationship to Ned. It's her relationship to Lois and to Olivia and to Sunny and to all of these other people. And so, if we're not telling a full story for all of these characters, these black characters, connecting them with the rest of the canvas, making sure they have like good story where they are not one-dimensional characters, like if we're not doing that, then we can't fight for one individual character. So for me, it has always been about Black Hospital. If I'm thinking about the character that I relate to, I mean, you know, Jordan is probably the one, aside from being a cop and a model. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see more. Like, that's the character that I kind of imprint on to be like, who do I want to see or what do I want to see for them? And so yeah, that's why I just can't get, that's why it's hard for me to get stuck in the like kind of Joss and Trina conversation of it all. Cause I'm like, ain't nobody is being done right in Black Hospital. And that's not like the fault of one character versus another to
That's
me.
like, no, I mean, it's definitely not one, it's like a bigger issue of like, how do you utilize these characters? Jordan is so isolated.
Hmm.
It's like she was kicked out of the Ashford family and now she just has no one.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
in a way, like the way Ava has no one because
Yeah.
there's no Jerome.
Hmm.
And so like she's so isolated. And then like the first thing you want to have her do is be in some fucked up losing love triangle with Nina Reeves.
Hmm.
Because like let's just keep it 100. She's not gonna win that.
Right.
Not in the long run.
Hmm.
And so like that's stupid. It's ridiculous. And like we've talked about it, and that's just because like as women, we're gonna have positions like when men bring things up. It's actually very, very wrong to have TJ even in this position with Christina and Molly, where you have this like black man being like saying crazy shit, like shit that doesn't even make sense, not even a good story. Like
Right.
his character gets so little airtime, so little story, and the story you gave him, he's the villain
Yeah.
essentially in it. Like that's awful.
When he's been always set up to not be that. He's handsome. He's a doctor. He's been compassionate with so many people. Like with him and Willow, that was like a great story. People were shipping them, but even when they weren't, there was a great friendship. So like he's not even being compelling versus Christina.
Mm-mm.
It's like
And
you're
so
having him talk about what she's eating and not about her getting too close to his baby.
it almost seems like they want us to like tell Molly to leave TJ as opposed to us telling TJ to leave Molly like we have been. Like we need to raise Molly's stock because like by taking TJ down a peg, I don't like it. Why didn't they put as much investment in whatever the hell was happening between Stella and Hat Daddy the way that they're investing in Tracy and Gregory?
Right.
Because
Hmm.
like you can't say, well, it's an age thing because it's not an age thing. We have a couple. They've successfully browbeat me into enjoying Tracy and Gregory,
Same. Yeah,
and
same.
I'm not even giving them credit. I'm giving Jane Elliott all the credit
Right.
and all the glory.
Right.
And so like it's not even like, oh, like, well, they're not from the demographic that we focus on. Like, no, it's just a situation where like you insert these people. And I understand that there's like a risk and a danger of how black characters are talked about when you put them when you get them very deep in. Like one of the things, and this is not to say to anyone in particular, it's just my own personal stuff. Well, anytime I'm on Young and the Restless Twitter, like slightly uncomfortable the way they talk about the Winters family
Mm.
because they're being very, very aggressive and very protective about their company. And of course, who they're up against are white people because that who
Right.
else is in town besides them who are black.
Hmm.
And people are like, there's a lot of language around it, like these people should be grateful,
Hmm.
which but like it doesn't mean that I don't think you should be doing stories with the Winters family like this because I don't want to see tweets like that. Like I understand how people will take stuff and that like they will feel how they want about the story. I still want the black characters to be invested in.
Hmm.
Like the way that like the Winters are invested in on Young and the Restless, The way that like, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like the Carvers are invested in on days like with Abe's family and people,
Mm,
black people around him. I want that for whatever fucking black family you want to bring up on General Hospital. But the fact that you keep like destroying and recreating new black families
yep.
to be in Port Charles, it doesn't seem like you have the investment in it that you so claim to have by how many black people you have on the show.
Hmm.
Because the Winters have been a staple on that show since the early 90s.
Exactly. Exactly. Which is why I think we bring up people like the Wards or even Taggarts, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, why are people, was my problem with Trina being an Ashford or being like part of that. You could have made Trina a part of that family through marriage because a lot of people do that anyway, as opposed to taking the legacy of the Taggart family away from her and not just taking it like by blood, but taking it by relationship, period. Because we're not
Mm-hmm.
seeing it. I and even with the idea of like, oh well, of course you're gonna, give the Quartermain with Tracy more airtime. I think that when you're trying to figure out how to really tell positive story or show investment in black characters, you actually have to overinvest because you've done nothing but wipe out these families over time. And it's just like in general, that um there's no commitment to diversity. Outside of black people, where's Terry? We hear Yuri talked about all the time. Why were Terry and Yuri not at this wedding?
That part.
What is happening? Like, so y'all do these things and you try to say, like, oh, look how progressive we have these relationships, and we have this, we have that, but then you don't show people. Where's Brad? We ain't seen him.
Where are the woos? One of the main things that irritates me about this Carly situation is that she's the only person in trouble. And that's because you don't actually want to have to deal with the woos and put them on screen. So they just got out of it. They weren't in trouble.
Right,
They're fine.
right. Yeah.
They're chilling. Like Brad is Selena's like nephew. It seemed like they were leaning into him being her son, even though the actor is actually older than Selena.
Hmm.
Than the actress plays Selena, but who cares? We would have gone with it. They were like leaning into like there being more like Chinese Americans on this show, and then they said no.
No. They're like,
No.
no, no.
Sunny doesn't get to play a Latino, essentially, in the same ways that Sandra Oh didn't play an Asian on
Hmm.
Grey's Anatomy. He might be Latino, but he
Hmm.
definitely doesn't get to play a Latino
Yeah,
character.
he's Italian, right?
No, he's supposed to be Latino. Mike was Greek because for some reason soaps love Greece. They like always got to have a character from Greece. Corinthos is a Greek name, and then
Huh.
his mom is Cuban.
Huh.
Yeah.
Look at that. You're right. For some reason I forgot that. Huh. Look at that.
And so, yeah, people don't get to play their ethnicity on this show.
No.
No, they don't get to play up. Like every once in a while, they'll give the Ashfords dialogue that emphasize their blackness, but most of the time, they're just, we're colorblind writing. This doesn't matter in this town. Like, and that's ridiculous. And like when you write colorblind and you're blind to color, it makes it really easy to like erase colored people from your fucking show.
Or to not understand how important it is to tell a balanced story around them. And like, which is why you would have something like Trina being the fourth wheel, and nobody like thinking, why is this black girl the only person without a partner? Or why you have Jordan, you'd be like, why is this black woman who's been on the show all this time without family? Like, why are we, like so when you say you're colorblind, it's very easy to like not do what you need to do to like establish relationships with people of color.
Like having J Sam get married at a Panda Express run by the most stereotypical Asian people you could find. And they just have statues to give people.
I don't want to talk about it. It's so
I've
that
never,
whole stretch made me mad because it was like that and then that honeymoon. I can't talk about it. I can't. Let's talk about the wedding. Um
congratulations to Chalynn because the J Sam wedding was trash and a half. and the honeymoon was worse. And then they broke up, and then she got her baby kidnapped, and then they finally got back together, and he got shot into the fucking harbor.
I can't even. I don't know why. Mm. Anyway, I love that Alexa's getting her law license back is somehow part of the story. Um, why not? Love Gregory and Tracy vibing before the wedding. Um, I guess Liz and Finn are still together. Congratulations to them. I
He's
yikes.
cheating on her with Alexis,
100%.
at least emotionally.
That's
Because
why
if
I didn't think they were together.
yeah, if my freaking partner was like going to other people with his problems and like having these big existential crises and big fight and like talking to someone else, like even if you're talking to your sponsor, you can still tell your partner. Like you could have had one scene with him like, I'm just gonna go talk to Alexis because you know she understands this stuff and like I'll call you later, Liz. No, no.
Forgot they were together.
Yeah.
And Liz was playing with Violet. She wasn't, they did not seem, anyway, they did not seem like a couple.
She just wants to
Um,
be. I want that baby. I had too many boys. Give me your daughter.
I love the Spinelli and Jason reunion.
It was very cute. It was very cute. And I'm glad that they actually did it and they didn't make it seem like that happened off screen.
Yeah. Agreed. I loved Spixie. Oh, I loved the scene with Spinelli and Anna. He was so earnest about his intentions with Maxie. He was like, I know you're her godmother. Adorable. We also got to see the
I,
reunion of Maxie with Jason and Spinelli, which brought me back into all my feels.
I was gonna say Anna Cat for Peter August, so
I don't like to talk about that. You
oh I'm
like it,
talking
Bertha?
about it. I'm talking about it all. I'm talking about it all. She's coming for my guy real hard. She coming for my man real hard. So we bringing up all the Anna Duvane times where where good sis was wrong.
That was a rough time for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was like, what is going
Should have
on?
let Jason kill him when he wanted to.
100%. Though the scene where Felicia bops him over the head and Anna lets him die is very iconic.
I made a video about that too.
I remember. It was iconic behavior.
SpongeBob.
We also got McCall and Jackal back together. Hey, PIs.
Yeah, I'm glad Curtis is at the PI game. We don't need him. Get out of here, sir.
Bye. Um,
He's gonna go own Planet Fitness or whatever.
LA Fitness, have some respect.
No, no, for Curtis, never.
um, love seeing Downton Element with all the Cirillos chasing him and being told Sam like, tell him I can't come. Sam was like, we're coming.
Sam was a mess. She was
When they
like,
asked her about getting married, she ran away. I said, Sam, what are we doing?
she said last time I got married at a Panda Express, never again.
She did say that. Geo, cute. One of the things I thought that they was clear is that they established that he was older. So they established that he was like 21, 22. I don't know why people think he's for Joss. I didn't see anything that and that like looked like he was for Joss.
Because I hate Dex and he's a little snitch, I wouldn't mind seeing it, but the fact that he came out immediately was like, I'm Team Sunny. Like, no. The only way I could see it is if they had her go full Jax and like just be attracted to people to get them away from Sunny. That was Jax's whole story in the noughties.
No, it's very to me it seems clear he's there for Trina.
We'll
Um, we'll see, but it just didn't
the
I
great
didn't
replace the great Spencer replacement.
oof. Now let's get into the wedding, aside from that. Um, how much jewelry does Lila have? Because
I mean,
everybody, it's just like the crown, the tiara from Mean Girls. You get a piece. You get a piece. You get a piece.
She had like 5 engagement rings because I know several women got one. Um, because she everybody's grandmother. So several people got a Lila engagement ring. Like definitely, I think Willow had one. Sam, Lois May had one. Unless Ned gave it to Alexis, so maybe she gave it back. I'm not sure. But everybody gets a Lila engagement ring. It's like that Princess Diana ring. They just sell it. Everyone's got a copy. And then yeah, she got the bracelet. She got part of the dress. I mean, Carly could give all of her daughters an engagement ring just from a different dude. Yeah, Jocelyn will get the one that Jax gave her. Donna can pick. Donna
Which
and
one?
Avery choose which Sunny ring they want.
Yeah.
Several choose from. Some people might want like she got one from AJ. She got one from Lorenzo. She got a lot. They have a great scene when she was marrying. She didn't get to marry him because he got shot, but when she was about to marry Sunny for the fourth time, when Maxie's going through her jewelry and she brings up, like, I forget how many engagement rings this hell has. um,
um I yeah, but just in general, I did love every part of the getting dressed and the getting ready. Something that like I really wish they did not do for Brooklyn is like that I wish that she felt more confident in herself. Like she's always like, "Oh, I don't deserve this," or, "He's so much better." Like, no, girl, you are the prize. He is very lucky. This is clear to
yeah,
me. Like, I don't like that they do that with her.
they do that because they think her characterization is like the edgy schemer type. And he's like the little nice puppy dog, and like she's lucky to have a nice puppy dog character because they could study Corinthos her really quickly and be like, "Here's the man you deserve." Like they could have easily leaned into Brooklyn and Valentine, and then she'd be deep in some Valentine shenanigans with
No, thank
his.
you.
And so they're writing it like, "Aren't you so lucky to be with like Chase and not this evil Cassadine?" And it's like, no, still no. He's still lucky to be with me. Look how poor he is.
Ah! I'm gonna just move right over Gregory and that snafu. I wasn't a fan of it. Did you have anything to say about it?
I it was just written poorly in my taste because I did appreciate how everybody reacted and like nobody made a big deal about it. There wasn't like somebody call an ambulance. It was like, are you good? And like even like little baby Violet was like, here's your card. And like we're gonna get through it. It was just like the like I'm good of it all. Like okay, so like I appreciated the fam coming together in that moment. It was not necessary. It was not like if anything, you could have just had him say like, "Oh, I don't think I could do it," and have Tracy take over, but she's reading his words, so it's like a dual thing. But and it just seemed very like unnecessary and added. So like just to let you know, Gregory has ALS. Don't forget. Just because it's a wedding, don't forget. This man is sick. He's ill, everyone. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like any of it. I didn't think any of it was necessary. I think he could have just done the wedding and we could have been done with it. It wasn't necessary. Um, yeah, I liked their vows. It just like really showed how long they had been going at this. Like this has been Chalynn has been through it, and this was like a reward. And I liked everybody in the background. Everyone played their position, whether it was like during the vows, whether it was during the reception. You just saw people like mingling. This cast seemed to have a really good time with it. If you look at their photos, at their kind of behind the scenes stuff, like they really enjoyed being together. You could tell.
Yeah, I didn't. Back to talking shit about Gregory, I didn't understand what his function was. Like, I feel like what he said, y'all could have got anyone to say. He didn't say anything super meaningful or special or out the box. Like, he really did go template wedding speech. And then gave like not even the best Shakespeare marriage quote. To be honest, I'm like, if y'all want a Shakespeare quote at your freaking wedding, let me know. I'll give you a good one. That's not that. Like, pick a sonnet, bruh. But I didn't understand like anybody could have said that. Anybody could like read the like traditional template off the internet that's like, and then there was a point where like he was supposed to like recite the vows so they could say it back, and they're like, we already memorized it. We did not have time for your shenanigans. So what was his function again? Like, I'm very confused. Like, you couldn't write anything special for Gregory to say that justified all of these shenanigans we've been going through.
I don't know. Unnecessary. You know how I feel about the ALS story. So anyway, um, yeah, all in all, I thought it was a great wedding. I thought everyone was fun. The bridesmaid dresses were cute. Flowery, nothing too special, but also nothing that was offensive. Um, Loved again like the Portia Jordan scenes. Loved Christina seeing her daddy roll up with her girlfriend's mom. She's like, yeah,
Both of
Allison.
them, both of them are out of control for that. Um, like Maria Santos, what are you doing? Um, and just being like a menace the whole time. Wild, both of them for different reasons. And then Christina and Blaze, like I don't know, their function like was literally just to be there to see their parents being at this wedding together. So cool. Um, Sunny with Michael was so funny. He was like,
He's
"That's my
claiming him
son.
again though.
Yeah, that's my son. I don't talk to. I can't get into why because I don't sound great, but just know that it was his fault. They planted a you see that young man over there sitting next to the police chief? He planted that young man in my legitimate coffee business to spy on me for no reason because I am a legitimate coffee importer. So I'm not talking to him. His mom did it too. She owns the hotel.
What a mess. Um, yeah, they were just, it was what it was. I loved just like the little interactions. They really took their time to like allow those things to breathe. Like somebody going to Finn, like, could you look at this? I know you're a doctor. That's real. People do that.
But then
Um,
he gave him champagne, and I don't understand why you couldn't just politely say you don't drink.
or just
Like
put it
he just had
down.
him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I don't even understand what that was about. Um, I also loved like John Travolta's sister getting something in her eye and Anna taking it, getting it out. She didn't care for Lois's nails. She was like, absolutely not.
I really loved like Sunny Corinthos taking over the reception. Like everybody was like, "Well, Sunny, we know you, Sunny. We love Sunny. We Sunny was freaking everywhere."
They let Chalynn have their wedding, but that reception was Sunny's.
Hmm. They were like, "Sunny's here." Sunny goes and tries to like talk to Anna. She gives him an attitude. While she hangs out with all her snitch brigade, all of them. And then I don't know. Here's my thing. Why did Dex decide to touch Sunny? And why would he say some lying ass shit like I'm not your enemy? Are you a cop? Are you not a cop? But you're not my enemy. I'm gonna punch you in the face for that lie too. Don't talk to me like I'm fucking stupid. And then he just beat him up in the lobby, and he was the only person in the lobby. And then Jason had to bear hug him, like, "No, Sonny," and he told Dex to run away. He didn't even get him help. That's as much help as Jason can get,
And then Christina seen her daddy being ridiculous.
as she should. Because her going at Jocelyn, like, my dad is a kind man. What are you saying?
Jocelyn about to be mad as hell when he don't push no charges, personal charges.
I mean, so is Anna.
he about to be Dante went after Sonny shot him in the chest.
He ran into a door. Yes,
Ah, Sonny, you just beat up your own grandson.
he's in an abusive relationship with Sunny. Officially, we can say. Is it? I can't wait for Monday when Sunny tries to blame Dex for bringing Christina out. Like she knew she was gonna be here.
I also am happy that Chalynn had already gone to their like little wedding, their little suites. Like Sonny, he was polite at least before he beat the brakes
Yes,
off Dex and went bananas.
he said, "I'm not gonna beat a man in the middle of a reception. I will wait until after the reception."
I love how mad he was every time somebody was talking to Dex. It's like that's my family. So much from my family. Lois was like, please chill out.
Mo could just submit the scenes where he's in the back of someone else's scene, and I think he should still get at least like guest star nod, like guest star in someone else's scene, because it would literally be anybody with Dex, and he'd just be in the back like, "Is it what you? These are my people." He's really manic, and I kind of like. I feel like more than Jason and Carly, he's kind of hyper focused on Dex. He's like, you have come to systematically steal everything that's mine and turn all these people against me.
Hmm.
And obviously we know that's not true. Dex is not, G enough to pull that off. And this is gonna like Susie. This could turn out so well for you because he is so hyper focused on Dex. He's just like, if we get rid of Dex, everybody will love me again. Anna, Jocelyn, everyone. And so,
Lord.
and you know what? It's gonna be all right, Sonny. I forgive you no matter what happens.
I do not, but I hear you. Like,
Eat his ass again, Sonny. How dare he touch you? How dare he say he not your enemy after he became a whole snitch, turned state's evidence, but he not your enemy.
maybe they both have cobalt hips.
He about to
Just
have
cancel
cobalt hips.
just cancel it out.
Mhm.
Well, that was the week. Now we find out. Let me also say this. I don't really care about the writers, but we do find out, we have been saying Liz and Pat hit us up. Apparently, Pat can no longer hit us up because Pat is out as a writer. It is just Liz now. And Chris of Chris and Dan is back as a breakdown writer.
Bye, Pat.
I don't know that
Bye.
man.
As
Now,
far as I'm concerned, he created Snitch Hospital because Liz been here since 1992 and it hasn't become Snitch Hospital. That man here for like 5 months, and literally every fucking character, including Sunny, is a goddamn snitch. So go, bye, sir. Go back into retirement. Have a good life.
well, that's kind of you because here's my problem. I have I don't really talk a lot about the show online, but I follow people who I like, right? That I've met through some Twitter. And so like stuff comes up on my For You page. And this week my For You page was wild because it was all like Liz slander. And I was like seeing people who I like don't follow who were like straight up calling this woman a bitch. And I was like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong? That's what we doing? We calling people out their name because we don't like what they write?
I I'm on. I'll tweet every once in a while when I like find something to tweet or be like, oh, I think this is funny. I'll tweet it out and like it lands or it doesn't. Um, I have so much block because I don't want to see stuff because people just be making stuff up. They'll literally make it up in real time, and then by the next day, this is insider information. Like they'll be making it up. Like you could go listen to like spaces or read threads where they'll be like,
Thank you.
here's what I think happened. And by the next day, that's what happened. Like they'll be like, I think that Liz is just a super Carly lover, and her and Laura Wright are working together to like ruin this show. And then the next day, somebody will be tweeting like, I heard that Liz is just a Carly lover, and that her and Laura Wright are working together to ruin the show. And that's why I can't even entertain stuff like this. And it's always super funny to me that like it's so easy to attack female writers, that somehow a male writer was going to come in and fix them, a white man was going to come in and fix the misogyny and racism of this show. Okay, sure. Yeah, that makes sense to me. um the show has been awful. The show's been awful. The performances have been good, and I think that an actor will save a show as much
Mm-hmm.
as they can before someone pops off. But like I've had conversations with certain people that like I have said for a very long time that I'm gonna stick with this show until the wheels pop off. But certain decisions have been are being made, and it seems like certain stories are growing a certain way where I might have to tap out earlier than I thought.
Mm,
And it's nothing to do with like the issues the timeline face. It's like specific issues that like I won't be gaslit by this show. Like you will not tell me one thing and then decide you don't want to tell that story anymore and act like I made all that up in my
right.
mind. And
Mm-hmm.
so I can't do that for too long. Like I prefer Chris and Dan being like, fuck you, I'll do what I want, over y'all trying stuff in the moment and it don't work, and then you try to gaslight me like you didn't just do that. I won't deal with that. When it comes to this like favoritism and favorites, because Liz has worked to the show from 1992, like the show has taken on so many different iterations from 1992 to 2024. I don't know how you can blame her specifically for where the show's at. Like, oh, she's pro Carly. Well, Carly didn't join the show until 1990 freaking six. So how pro Carly could she have been between 92 and 96? And then even today when they're like, it's just a Carly show. Carly wasn't even invited to that wedding.
Harley was on one date this week.
Yeah, but it's the Carly show and we see her so much, you know. That's kind of crazy to me. Like there's a difference between you don't want to see a certain character versus they're on too much.
Right. That's true.
Like I don't want to see plenty of characters on that show. I'm not out here like they're on too much. My main issue with the show has never been like, oh, there's too much Carly, or there's too much Nina, or there's too much Sunny. It's always been the writing of the show. The
Mm,
writing's inconsistent, and it's inconsistent between head writing regimes for different reasons.
mm,
Like Shelley Altman and Jean Passant, they did not want their audience to figure out a story. And if you figured out a story, they would change that shit immediately to the most ridiculous shit it could possibly be so you wouldn't think of it.
right.
Example, Paul Hornsby being a serial killer for the dumbest
Mm-hmm.
reason possible. Chris and Dan were like, I don't care if the audience doesn't like a story, I'm telling the story.
They
Example, August.
Peter August. I think that the other thing with Chris and Dan was that they just told the story they wanted, regardless of whether it made sense, and they didn't try to make it make sense. So like Sonny just like showed up in Nixon Falls and we realized he was manic and he just got bipolar meds and that was it. But nobody fingerprinted him. Nobody outside of town knew him. There was just like no rhyme or reason to like how they did things. And it
Yeah,
was like we just told you we did it. It also felt like they didn't really want to write a soap. They just like, like it just didn't feel like they cared for the genre. Um, so I agree. I think that the kind of throwing women writers under the bus thing is true. Um, and then the Carly thing is interesting to me because I do think that like post COVID, there was a lot of Carly. I do wonder if that was like because Laura Wright chose to wanted to come in more than like whatever it was, right? Like there was a lot of Carly. Like, I even said something when she was like talking to vending machines, like what the hell is going on here?
yeah.
Um, And it also meant during that time, like we could never have a wedding scene like we just had, or we could never have like these really big scenes. So people were really contained in a space. So it was like, you know how I said I one of the things I like is for people to be able to like go between settings or like sets in one episode. You didn't have that. Everything was contained because they didn't want people to do like a lot of cross pollination. Um, so like I think that because of that, that did lend itself because Sunny was like also somewhere else. But I think it's also easier to throw a woman character under the bus. Steve Burton has said on many, 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 many occasions how much he loves Liz. Many. Finola has said how much she's loved Liz. So all of a sudden it now becomes that Laura Wright loves her. That we could have like some of these conversations, but Laura Wright is not on a whole lot more than Cynthia Watros. And she particularly isn't on a whole lot more than Sunny because Sunny is like the center of his story. So it's like Sunny's story is about Sunny, and all these other people's stories are about Sunny. Laura Wright's story right now is mostly Jason. So when it's like Jason's on, and then like Carly is talking about Jason. So I hear you if you don't like that, like if you don't like these characters, it does feel like maybe a lot, but I just don't think that what I am seeing is like this overwhelming like Carly whatever. Like not now and not for the past like year or so.
I still think it's weird to like blame the like issues with the show. And like my issues with the show are not the same as other people's issues with the show. So like it's very easy for me to blame Pat because he is the odd person out. I'm like the big change for me that like irritates me that I'm never gonna not be over and I'm gonna be furious and it like colors the way I'm looking at certain characters that I usually really like is the snitch aspect of this. This went from like mob hospital to snitch hospital in like 2 weeks' time. In 2 weeks' time. And then you have all of these characters operating off of the weakest excuse to dislike Sunny. While they cap for other characters who are equal, if not worse than him. That's awful. And here's the thing, this is one of the main reasons it's easy for me to blame Pat is that I've been told by several people who claim to have insider information that Pat doesn't like Sunny.
Oh,
And so
see, it's
with
so interesting because I don't have any of this context.
yes, and I don't believe I take people saying they have insider information with a grain of salt. There's a couple people I think I could count on my hand the people I know who have legitimate insider information at differing levels. So like I know one person who like legit knows somebody at Prospect Studios. So like they know when someone's working that day. They'll be like,
Right.
this person's filming because I know because the person I know saw them in there.
Yeah.
There are people I know a few people who have insider info at Soap Opera Digest, meaning that they're getting the information as soon as Soap Opera Digest gets it, which is
Mm-hmm.
literally a few days before we get it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not some massive like, and then maybe from back in the day, like Soap Press, like some people who know actors or like publicists of actors, so they know shit as soon as it's happening, even if we're not going to know for a few months. Like I said, I can count the amount of people I know with those types of things, like on all levels, on one hand.
Right.
And like there's currently people out here and they're all claiming to have insider information. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. I can't speak for anyone. I'm just saying that like when you hear this whole insider information thing, you should always think about like who's telling you this? Like what do you know about this person? What do you know about like how they feel about this show? Because that colors how they receive the information and how they disseminate it to you. And
Mm-hmm.
so like if I got insider information on say like something about Nina Reeves's character, anybody who knows me knows I don't like Nina Reeves. And so like how I feel about her might color how I choose to tell you about this news. That's just a fact to make it about me and not other people. And
Mm-hmm.
so you should question it until you can verify that information yourself. And so if you have like these people coming at you with like insider information from like self proclaimed, not Carly haters, but Laura Wright haters, because that's become a profession on the timeline. Um,
What?
yes, just like hating on this who's done nothing, right? Who's done nothing. Everything they claim she's done is all inferences from the way she responds to personal hate being directed at her on the timeline, right? They're just like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this
It's
type of
just
person.
it's also like I think that fandom in general lends itself to being really toxic, no matter what the fandom is. Like you brought up Bridgerton, like I, it's easy for me to look at like some Bridgerton tweets because like there's enough people who consume Bridgerton that there's like certainly some like very haterish like whatever going on, but there's so many people who consume it. There are people who just like it and who like will have like critique and like talk about it, but not in a way like who I am, who is like I don't really care for this particular pairing, but I love Nicola, for example, like the woman who plays the lead, like love her, stand her, queen. And so like I can like interact with that because so many people are talking about it. But when you have soaps, it's such a small insular group of people who are talking about it in that way that it becomes like really it almost is like a toxic off. You know what I mean? Like because what you get and like how many people will and no shade to be honest because the point of social media is interaction, but I have seen and I saw this week it'd be like somebody like tweeting about the show and it'd be like something I agree with. I'm like, oh, that's really cool, and it'll be like 10 likes, 15 likes, and it'll be like Liz is our bitch. I'm like, whoa, this real life woman, not Liz the character, but like Elizabeth the writer. And then it'll be 100, 200 likes. I'm like, oh, like this is incentivized to like talk this way because people want to hear it. I think something
Yeah,
really wrong with my
which is the main reason why I've kind of like pulled back from engaging on social media about General Hospital. Like I talk on Brit Spaces and
same.
I like to, and I mean, I come for the writers. I come for writers way
Sure.
before. Like I don't even like coming for characters and outside of in conjunction with how they're being written. Because like I am very like clear that the actors are just doing their job
Right,
and
right.
like that's it's a hard job, like you got to put yourself out there, you got to do all these things. When it comes to the writing, it's also a very hard job, I understand that, and there's a level of creativity and like intelligence and like care, not just for the characters you're crafting, but the audience that's going to consume it, that I feel like the writers haven't had in a really long time. And I think a lot of it goes more into budget than it does into talent or like technique. That like
Hmm.
they have to write based off of what they are able to pay for. And so obviously Bob Guza to me was a way better writer because he had a
Yeah,
bigger budget.
yeah.
He had a bigger budget and he could do more with that budget and with the cast he has. Like everyone else is sort of like a slave to, because I've also heard that people want Frank gone again. And I'm like, we're back to firing Frank. And I'm like, if Frank is leaving when the show gets canceled,
Right,
that's what's happening.
right.
And sort of this weird push. And I'm not even going to say that like there's more important things to care about, because I think like if this is something that like you consume every day, a lot of your friendships and like who you talk to are based off of it, then you're going to care about GH a lot more than your average viewer. That's true. And we have to be very realistic about the changes that can be made within the budget. This is not Star Wars. This is not Marvel. It's not even a Disney original. It's a 63-year-old like property that like a very limited amount of people consume that has more value in nostalgia than it does in actual like content. Like
Mm-hmm.
Disney likes having the oldest soap on television on their fucking network. Disney wants to take the like old longest running daytime thing from Guiding Light, essentially. So I feel like this show, as long as they can keep it under budget, keep the actors happy, and keep the minimal viewership that they have, which has not been over 2 million viewers in like 15 years. So this whole conversation about losing views, it loses views week to week because people can see who's going to be on this week. They can look at the spoilers, they can look at dailies and all that, and then decide whether or not they want to watch. And so certain weeks will be have more views than others. Like Bob Guza was the last head writer getting 3.54 million views a day.
Yeah, I'll also say this. I I try because I don't want to be condescending, but I think that there also was like a sense of self-importance around being of that people feel that like the show doesn't care about. So even if you think about the like daily amount of traffic, for example, that like people have on Twitter, right? Like that soap has on Twitter, that doesn't even come close to the daily amount of traffic that Instagram, for example, happens or has. So like you get a big tweet on Twitter, and like if you got like 1,000 likes, that's huge in the soap, world, right? Like that's massive. A random thing on Twitter is getting 4,000 likes and like more comments than what could, a
Like IG,
Facebook. Yeah, I'm sorry, on Instagram. You think
yeah.
about Facebook and like look at the official stuff on Facebook, how many people are liking it there. So there is like, granted, I think that like Twitter is like more created for discussion of a show, but that also means it's more created to have like agendas, it's more created to be able to like organize in a lot of ways. Like, as an organizer myself, back in the day, like I would do a lot of the stuff that I would do on Twitter because like that's my audience. There are groups on Facebook that have 100,000, 200,000 people in them. That is not anywhere near the daily usage of like how many people are talking about GH on Twitter. So there is, I think, this balance of being like, what do fans want versus like who are the fans that you think people are listening to? Like, where are they picking up some of this feedback? And I honestly believe that that is part of the reason why we're seeing like these really weird changes in writing because they're like taking feedback from different places and trying to figure out the stories. Where I think they should just write a good story, and if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you don't. Because if you give me consistency, if you give me romance, if you give me whatever, 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 people will eventually either like it or not. But to try to like write to fandoms, I think is a problem because you're never going to make everybody happy.
Yeah. This
So,
the that Sunny Corinthos account that steals people's tweets.
oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, on Facebook, yeah.
um, they'll get the Facebook Sunny Corinthos account has never had an original tweet in its life, so
Hmm.
don't go there looking for that. You should go there to look for other people on Twitter's content and those things. Like I think I've had like several tweets stolen by that account, and they will get like 12,000 likes on like a
Sometimes
tweet.
20. Yeah.
I got, I think, about like 150 likes on
Hmm.
Twitter. So
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
you got to think
It's
about that.
and where people are picking up the feedback, how drastically different it is. I specifically remember like a soap hub, for example, that would like just be all we hate Carly, we love Nina for like Instagram or for like Twitter clicks. There's a whole soap hub group on Facebook that they like are the administrators for. And anytime they will post that content, people were like, what the hell is this? Like, and their own content would get dragged, comment after comment of like, this is stupid, this is stupid, what are you talking about? So it really does, it does depend, and that feedback depends. But I guess all I will say is like, I think that we should all be able to agree not to call people out of their name because we don't like what they're writing for a soap. But I guess maybe that we don't agree on that. Um, and to your point, I think, Tara, like, this is an old property that doesn't have a whole lot of viewers. And so even when you are like, I'm mad about this, I mean, if it's not massive, if it's not overwhelming, I don't know if the powers that be really care about like what a couple hundred people think if they don't think that that's really going to impact their viewership.
Yeah, I
Sadly.
think I looked it up. It takes 144,000 to produce one episode of GH. It takes 1.5 million to produce one episode of The Mandalorian.
Mm,
So which
mm-hmm,
show do you think they care about
mm-hmm,
more? Which one needs to fucking succeed
mm-hmm.
on a massive level? And which one can they just kind of be like, we did good. 1.9, that's good, you know? And they're really good at like, I mean, I don't know about this because it's Liz now, I guess. So it's the Liz takeover. You know what? If she hustled everybody into a job, good for her. I like when women do that. Hustle these men. And like we'll see how they're able to write events essentially because that's what gets viewers. It's not these
Day to day.
hey, it's like the big like it's how many people I saw the like even and that's another thing like who cares about Nielsen ratings? Like it's not 1972, so who cares about like live television viewers when we're slowly but surely going into the streaming era? And even on the like live views, like the viewership went up when Steve came back, just like it always does, because
Hmm.
people always want to see how Jason's coming back.
Right,
Because how the hell are we doing this? He got taken by a cave, so how is he? How do you get out the cave? They still didn't tell us for like 4 months.
right. And Hulu, GH is consistently in the top 10 of Hulu every day.
And then it's like, oh well, are they even getting those ratings? Well, wait, who owns Hulu? Oh, it's Disney. So yes, they're getting the ratings.
Right.
Like literally
Directly, actually.
correctly. The same way that like Days of Our Life. That's how I think this show continues. Like I think that like they'll keep it on live because it doesn't really cost them anything. Like I don't think that like 2 o'clock time slot is that lucrative to be honest.
Yeah, they're not gonna do GMA4.
But like Days of Our Lives is chucking right along on Peacock.
Right.
Just chugging right along, and that could be GH's future. Just chugging right along on Hulu.
Hmm. But
And
like
it
you
probably
said, they don't need to even put it on Hulu yet because it's still cheaper. I don't know what NBC put in the place of Days, but
they still get ad revenue for
right.
days for General Hospital. So like the ads that are running during the live viewing, that's money in the bank for the show.
So
I don't know how it works on streaming.
who
I
knows?
don't have ads on my Hulu because I'm above that. I still have ads.
Get out of here.
I still have ads on YouTube though. I'm not above that. Um,
That was very needy leaks of you. Like, I'm rich. I don't know anything about
I'm not. I'm too poor to like pay for Discord or YouTube, but I'm above ads on Hulu
That's right. My blood sugar is crashing because you're cracking me up. Let's get into previews for next week.
for sure.
Monday. Sunny is horrified. Blaze consoles Christina. Jason summons Carly. Gregory apologizes to Finn. Anna confronts Brennan.
Bruh, your boy is getting his ass beat in the Metro Court lobby, and you're going to confront Brennan. Okay.
Tuesday. Alexis and Diane prepare to present their case. Christina pleads with Michael. Mm. Dex has a big decision to make. Finn faces a difficult task. Sunny seeks Dante's help. Wednesday,
Really?
Liz is alarmed. Alexis is thrown for a loop.
Oh,
Dante,
because what's coming back?
who?
Cameron's dad, or Xander's dad, Cameron, in a new. He's playing Far.
Oh,
And that's a big deal because him and Nancy Lee Grahn were like the super couple of Santa Barbara, and they
huh.
never really got to do anything with them because they like killed off the character early on. So like people are actually excited for him to come back. But yeah, he's playing Fergus.
Okay. Well, explains why Nancy's excited for these stories.
Yeah,
Um, Dante issues a warning to Sunny. Ava
another
gets
another disloyal hoe.
Ava gets key intel. Christina makes an offer. um, Thursday, Carly stonewalls Anna. Alexis has her day in court. Ava offers sympathy to Sunny. Gio makes a move. Christina shares her fears. A lot of Christina next week.
How
Um,
are they still on the like wedding day? Because that's why Alexis could go, right? Because she had to be in court on the Chalynn wedding day.
she has to be in court the next day.
Oh,
Um, Friday, Molly and TJ go on a date. Liz can't shake her concern. Apparently, Michael Easton said that the drink at the wedding is gonna like lead Finn down a path. So that might be what Liz is concerned about.
that's stupid because Sasha's a crackhead and she was drinking overpriced wine in the horse house with Cody and it was fine. And now Finn. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done interrupting.
I don't know. Because Curtis drinks too. Um, oh yeah, Liz can't shake her concern. Portia is conflicted. I remember when you were conflicted. Anyway, too much Kendrick for me. Cody and Stella support Tracy. Oh, Stella and Tracy. Yay. Love them. Yeah, that's next week. Tara, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for taking on us a journey through history and geography
My
and
bad, y'all.
soaps. Don't ever apologize. If you made it to the end, congratulations, because this was a long episode. But as always, I enjoy talking to Tara. Make sure to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. Leave us some comments. Let us know how you felt about the week. And we will see you next week.